Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds. Hello, this is Harvesting Wisdom. I'm your host, Mike McMahon. Today I have guests in Malawi, Africa. So we're going to be trying to come across in a, I'm not even sure what the format is here that we're using, but I have Kimber Lillo with UFE and Earnest. I already forgot the last name. Kachula, right?
Kachule.
Okay, yeah. Kachule. Okay. And I traditionally mess one name up in every podcast I do. But anyway, welcome to the show. We're here. Our focus on this show is climate smart agriculture, community development, and education. And that's exactly what we're doing in Malawi. And welcome to the show. And I've got a few questions for each of you, but I'll let you start, Kim. The last time we had both you and Peter on a podcast a few weeks back, you were preparing for this trip. And probably my favorite quote is from Mike Tyson, and it talks about, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, right? So you had a lot of plans, and when you go out there, there's a lot of things that change. So talk to me about that. I've gotten updates from you guys. You're working on a ton of things, and it seems like every time you take a step or two forward, you take one backward or sideways. And so tell me roughly about the experience you've had over this last couple of weeks.
Sure. Mike, it's good to see you. I do have to say I'm missing home a little bit, but couldn't be happier than to be over here and working with Earnest. Together with Peter, the three of us have just really gotten down to nitty gritty and just continue to plow forward. I think the people that are here on the ground, some of them were surprised to see us again so soon. I think some thought, as some nonprofits do, just come in once and show them with gifts and leave. But I think they know that we're here to stay, and out of the goodness of our hearts, we are wanting what's best for them and working together with them to get that.
Yeah, and now, Ernest, the last time I saw you was in June, and you gave me the tour of your house and that other primary school, by the way. I don't know if you've taken Kim and Peter over there. That school was considerably more well-organized. So, Kim, if you haven't been there, it'd be great to start a little composting over there, or some worm composting. But Ernest, how are you doing now? When you and I talked the last time, we had the obstacles of the various different people who are running the show over in Lukuni on our Dimba project, the different schools and the hospital and the church and the printing press, a lot of different people to try to navigate through. But you seem to be the guy who can do that. So how are you thinking now, 6 months later, with Kim over there? How do you think our approach is working?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. I think, as Kim stated, we started up well. And as usual, there may be some hiccups, but we're maneuvering properly. And now we're much focused on doing something on the ground. For
Great.
example, at the boys' secondary school, just last week, we finished up the first phase of prep for 1 hectare of sunflower to be planted.
Great.
And we found the beds, the raised beds at this boys' secondary school. One of them had fallen off. Over the weekend, we've repaired it.
Okay. Now,
So now, if you need a wall, a brick wall added to your new home, Mike, I'm the girl to do it now.
is that right? The problem
We
with
were
the brick,
all taught.
right?
Instead of Mason doing it and us just watching, the Mason started and gave us the instruction, and then we all worked to learn a new skill, a new trade. So there were a number.
The boys at the school, were they doing the same thing? Were they learning how to use it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh
No,
yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're the ones who did more work than us.
I did 4
yes.
bricks.
The way it should be. Oh, that's
Sure.
good. That's good. The only issue with the bricks that I have is that they're not structural as CMU block will be. So hopefully you still have that mason available to work on the girls' primary school, the latrines.
What we are doing with the latrines is that we thankfully were able to, with the girls again, clean up the area, disinfect it. And now what we found is that now that they are clean and in working order, we just need to add a few doors, privacy. And then we have come across a wonderful organization that I will be working with beginning this week that will start bringing in womanhood education and locally made products, reusable products for the girls. So that's a thrill and something that just happened. We were here at the girls' secondary school on Friday, so it just like it was meant to be. But we will be using that mason. We will be using the mason for the wall around the girls' primary school.
Great.
Can you hear the girls out there?
Oh, I absolutely can. I feel like I'm back home.
Sorry.
So, Ernest, I didn't really tell the audience your background, but you were an electrician and did large projects throughout Malawi, retired. You were also a teacher, and you became passionate about agriculture. We'll try to splice in some photos post-production here of your house. You grow everything, and in the back of your house, you actually do a lot of animal husbandry. You had guinea pigs and chickens and rabbits and all kinds of different things. So, and you kind of self-taught yourself a lot of that. And that we can't find a person, an educated person, to do this unless they actually want to. And the fact is you want to, and you've learned so much, and yet you're really more of the boots on the ground over there because you know more about how to work with certain plants and the seasons and everything else than we do. So we're glad to have you on board to help with this. So in addition to the latrine project at the primary school, in addition to the boys repairing the bishwishes, which is just a fancy name for brick planters, we did get a solar oven. We'll splice a picture of that post-production here too. But we've had one location that didn't work out. Now it looks like you're going to be right where you are now at the girls' secondary school. When do you think you're going to have time to start that while Kim is in country?
Yes, Mike. We just had a meeting postponed today because the headmistress was somehow tied up. And we're having a meeting tomorrow just for the teacher, Efrida, to present to the headmistress why she wants the solar dryer. We don't want to impose it on them. It has to come from them that they show interest to manage it properly. So gonna hear that tomorrow. I hope in the meeting, maybe we may ask for permission to have some recordings or a video that also give you like an insight of what's happening in the meeting. But the dryer, for sure, is gonna be installed, and we'll be able to produce some products before Kim and Peter returns back.
That's fantastic. And we're trying to get one of those solar dryers. They come from South Africa, and you're kind of the guy in Malawi. That's the distributor, and I guess a lot of them are shipped there. So hopefully it is usable. The cool part about it is you don't need electricity. And, one of the issues with agriculture is when you grow, you get a bounty, you get a harvest in, and you get an awful lot of one particular plant or a vegetable or fruit, and it's almost too much. You can only eat so much, right? So a way to store that is your method. And when I was there last time, you gave me samples of so many different foods, and they were delicious, and the beautiful texture to them as well. And it's a great solution, and it's one that we're going to bring back here and show at the STEM Gardens here as well. So that's one of the projects. You had mentioned earlier the grading. This time around, we decided we needed to use a tractor. We bought a small truck out there and a pump to pump out of the river for irrigating some of the fields during the non-rain season. So we needed to get that truck to clear a pathway and get us so that we can go up and down and into the river area. I also wanted to use that tractor, if he's available, by the way, to work on some basic landscape. The steps, kind of one of the things that bugs me is the transition from one soccer field to the next. So you go from 1, 2, 3, 4 different levels, basically. And it's, with the rain washing it out and that kind of thing, it's a little bit dangerous to step in, and it's a nice way to make a a huge area that gets used a lot functional. I don't know, again, if that operator's available to help with that. Have you talked to them about that at all, Kim?
We haven't gotten to that point where we're talking about the steps, but what we have done is been able to go ahead and start the plowing in the lot 9 and 10, which is the closest to the water, where we will be able to pump the water with that beautiful, very powerful water pump that you purchased.
Oh, did you try it out? Have you tried it out?
That's going to be this week.
This week we're trying it, Mike.
Yeah.
This week they're trying it. But it was a great community effort with the boys' secondary school coming together down in those two areas to prep the land for the plow, because there were some trees and large roots. But they were so excited to help and be a part of that. We had drone coverage that we will be sending to you. And then Earnest had gone ahead, and after I had discussed that sunflowers seeds can be eaten as a snack, which they were not aware of, he roasted some, and we were able to give some to the boys that they could just have a little taste test. And it was really thrilling. It was such a great day. In fact, Peter, it just was everything, Mike, that you have wanted. It was community coming together to help one another and to have a goal to do something that, yes, sunflowers are grown here, but only for all. And now we're bringing something else, a healthy skin. And it really did. All three of us adults were brought to tears over how well that experience went.
Now that
And
everybody's...
Mike, on that one,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, on that one, I have Kim and Peter that actually donating the seeds for that field. They're gonna come from my granary.
Okay. Now you can also press those seeds into
Right,
oil and cook with it as well. But
right.
Yes.
the
Yeah.
one of the questions I had actually, Ernest, you would know. I think you can plant the banana trees and also shoots of sugarcane year round, can't you? Or do you wait till after the rains for that?
Yeah, we can, but now that area will have some problem of thievery. I think it's gonna be too much for us to harvest in case if we need to put up some form of security.
Okay.
Otherwise, the place is just too open.
I would
That's
like
what's
to.
great about that's what's great about the sunflowers is that no one really knows how to use them yet. And and even with the oil, they do press sunflower oil, but the people around here would not be able to collect enough or think about pressing it into oil, and they certainly don't know eating it as a snack.
Right.
So with those two lots, and with Ernest donating all the seeds that we're going to plant, with a low investment, we should have a great bumper crop and make over 1 million kwacha in snack production in the
Okay.
first 4 months, after the first 4 months.
I would love to see us, though, with the sugar cane and bananas, just prove the point that you can grow it all along that river. If the boys can, kind of sickle some of that out and put it in. But security is always going to be an issue. We're going to just have to figure out ways to work with that. But the more the bounty, the better. That's the way I look at it. And if people are hungry and they steal something that they have to eat, that doesn't bother me. It's not the idea for us who's going to eat it or even who's going to grow it. It's the idea to show people that they can grow it. So in their own homes, especially if they live along a river, that the idea for the boys to learn how to grow it. Who ends up eating it's not really my concern. We can still make that work. Which though does bring up the other question, which is, I'm not sure if you used our driver Frank out there, if you've located a place to get decent
Today,
quality fencing.
we met him today, and he took us to a number of areas that we had listed of things that we needed to do and get. Fencing was not on the list today.
Okay.
However, that will be our next time. With the boys, in the area that we have up close to the street in their compound, they have problems with the thievery, the goats. So what they
Right.
do in their Form 1 classes is that in Unit 4, I believe it is, they learn how to build a local fence. And so, what we are going to do is, instead of just having that in theory written in a book, we are actually going to say, okay, come on, here it is in theory. You learned it 3 weeks ago. Let's do that now. And building that sort of fence, which would be sustainable then,
Sure.
around that area up top. So,
Okay.
that's how we're going to deal with that area.
All right. Now, well, we're still talking about projects. So we had, before you left, came up with 3 or 4 pretty good sized projects that required some subcontractor help, like the mason, or the the other project was having the grading done, having to use mechanical equipment to at least get us started out there with the road base, that kind of thing, and cutting grades for steps and things like that. So those projects, the latrine project, which was something that bothered you when you were there for the primary school, another project. The other one, though, is the drip irrigation projects. And we've got a couple of tanks out there. It's a little bit problematic, I get it, to get the water from the hand pump up into the tank. But where there's a will, there's a way. So I don't know if you found anyone out there that can do any welding, but the concept is to build something like a tripod where you could have a winch that would be able to hoist buckets up there to make that work. But it'd be great to do a drip irrigation project, at least one while you're still out there for the boys. Do you think you'll have time for that at all?
Yeah, on that one, Mike, maybe to make our work simpler, we can have like a form of a reservoir, a small tank or collection point of water close to the borehole. Then you can use a small fountain pump to
Yes,
get the water
great
up
idea.
into the tank.
You're
Then from
thinking
that
ahead of
tank,
me.
then now we use gravity to have our drip system operational.
Yeah. Now there's that one company that I bought the big lake pump from also has smaller submersible sump pumps that you can do. So maybe a 2 horsepower pump with the hose to fill it. But I'd love to see both the boys primary and girls secondary to put in that drip system garden so they can see that process of distributing water efficiently during the non-rain seasons. So, but in addition to those major projects that we're involved with and committed to, Kim, you kind of came up with the idea of the micro projects. I don't know how many of those we've asked people to submit. How many of submissions do you have at this point for micro projects that are
Well,
serious?
that's a good question. It's. I thought I thought what I sent out was easy to understand, but it wasn't. And so then Ernest went out and went to each of the schools individually and talked to them in person. With that said, there was still a little bit of confusion, but once we got here and were able to talk to them, we have a submission for the girls' primary school to repair just a section of their fence, which is only going to less than $1,000. We're going to get the parent involvement, teacher involvement that live there, and we will no longer have to shoo away the goats. I am happy to report that although the goats did enjoy a number of the fruit trees we put in, the girls have their own special that they water every day, and they have put stones in it, and they all are coming back. So they'll just be able to grow that much better once we get that fence repaired. Just real quickly, he was so wanting to do the pig farming with different individuals, but they have large gaps in their thing, which the women's group came in and started working the field, and we had fruit trees there, but people came in and stole all the trees, and the goats ate all of those. So we do have to work with him, but it's wonderful to see how just our conversations the last time we were here and when you were here just started getting the ball rolling, and having people think about what they dream of and never thought could be accomplished is now something that can be.
And the Tema project?
You go right ahead.
You do it.
So we another project was with Tima and Tope from the open school, the boys secondary school, that open school. They started with a small grant from the Marist Brothers Foundation. They started a nice little hut where they make chips, so fried potatoes like our French fries. Kids were going off campus and purchasing them and not knowing where it was, how old it was. Many were getting sick. So they made this up my gosh, Mike, it is phenomenal to see that the time and the effort and the perfect accounting that they are doing of what goes out and how they are spending the money.
Right.
So they have that project that is a great success, and now they are wanting to add a local chicken project where they would sell the eggs.
Right. So we should be growing potatoes. That's what we should do next, is find an area
And
to
Yeah,
grow
we are
potatoes.
going to be.
So completely
Yeah,
vertically aligned in their business operation. What's cool about these
exactly.
what's cool about the way you kind of design these micro projects is it's things people are interested in doing, not necessarily things that I think people should be doing, but what they think they could do. And it's a lot of it is not just substance. It's about making a little bit of money. The entrepreneurial spirit is alive, right, over there. And the way the project works is we sometimes help a little with technical expertise, or Earnest does, but primarily we're giving some money as startup capital for material. And then they provide usually a little bit of the equipment and all of the labor. And through that, I think the project is more sustainable. I think that's the whole concept of sustainability, is to have people actually involved. So the micro projects is what I see us doing, more of a long term. But okay, so we got a bunch of those projects that people have applied for, and that's exciting. It's really cost effective too for me and or for anybody who wants to donate, because it's really a small amount of dollars in materials, really kind of affect the lives of the people who create the project, but then everybody on campus too. The idea of having a healthier potato fry without having to walk 2 or 3 miles to get them, at a better price, works for everybody. So that's great. But let's switch to the other thing we do, which is that whole education piece.
before you go to that, Mike,
Yeah, go ahead, Ernest.
yeah, on the fence for the girls' primary school, they, they have the bricks and the cement, and we're only supplementing whatever is lacking. So they've already shown an interest in the project by themselves.
Oh, that's great. The other little project I have for you, Ernest, over there is that structure that was abandoned right near the
Yes.
pump over there. When I saw your house, that gave me the bright idea. That would be a perfect structure for doing some of that animal husbandry, the pigs, the chickens. So, and then I looked at the project that the two ladies worked on. They built that structure, that hut with the metal roof, and I thought that's our perfect solution. With a little bit of 2x4s and a metal roof, you could, and the mason, you could easily turn that house into a really nice area for raising the animals too. And I think that's pretty secure back there. What do you think about that, Ernest?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that building, and we discussed that with Prof. Peter and Kim. But we need to get more clearance on the building
Okay.
because it was funded by another organization and was intended for a hostel for the girls. So for us to get into there, we need some form of protocol. But it's a
Okay.
good idea, Mike.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of protocols out there.
A lot of red
Well,
tape.
we can put their name on the building if it makes them happy too. Everybody can be a contributor. So it's just I saw it and it's been abandoned. It was never quite complete, I don't think. It was abandoned quite a while ago. So I thought, hey, why not repurpose? That's the whole idea of everything we do, is to try to repurpose, recycle, and reuse, right? So and reduce. But Okay, let's get to the education piece. First of all, how is the communication going between the Arizona schools and the schools in Malawi? Have you been able to conduct any of those while you were over there?
So right before we left, we had a nice uh, time where the kids finally were introduced to one another. So their first Zoom face-to-face introduction. And what was interesting is that a couple later, I was at Estrella Foothills Global Academy, and I was able to talk to those students there in Phoenix and say, what do you think? Or what did you think? And the teachers and the students were just, I couldn't get them to stop talking. And we want to do more of this. Once I got here, the exact same, and just the cute, interesting things that the kids would say, totally non-educational. But one of the boys here said, I cannot believe that they grow their hair long and it just flows in the wind. That was just me. And then another one was like, well, they had regular clothes on. They didn't have uniforms. However, the kids at Foothills Global Academy did have uniforms. They have some sort of uniform, but it looks more like regular clothes to the kids here. The kids at Foothills was like, oh my gosh, when they saw the kids' uniforms here, they were like, okay, we're not going to complain anymore. Because kids are in their sweaters and their dress shirts and whatnot. So there were fun things. I haven't gotten into educational pieces or cultural type things yet, but it was just fun to hear how excited they are for the next opportunity, which we certainly will do before I leave.
It's really
but
great
on the
to
same mic,
experience.
on the same what I observed at the girls' primary school was Kim had a session with the students, a few of them, but it's like the whole school wanted to join. We had to rescue her from being mocked up by the
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah.
Same was the situation with Peter as well. We had about 20 in the classroom learning how to do controlled experiment gardening, but all the windows were mopped up with girls, and then, it was just like too many of them wanting to attend the class. So I
Yes.
feel I think they're talking something to us to address to that particular problem, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we're a novelty is what it is when you go out there. The
Yeah.
things we're doing is a novelty, which is great. It's great to see that kind of excitement. You started what do you call the? I'm not sure which educational professional development and all that. Are you working with Our Plot of Sunshine, or is it a different program you're trying to?
No, here we are doing, and I wish Pete could be here to talk a little bit more about this, but I think Earnest and I can do it justice. Is we are doing the sowing scientific seed experiment, controlled experiment with, go
Okay.
ahead, what we're doing it with the boys secondary, the
Girls
girls
second
secondary,
and the girls primary.
and the girls primary.
Yep.
So, although they do have experience and knowledge in what an experiment is, there is a little bit of disconnect as to what your control is and what your variable is. And so we are just starting. We started last week introducing it, having them decide what they want their control group to be, what they want to alter. And then this, starting tomorrow, we start digging in.
Great.
True. And we're also hoping that by the end of the project, the learners will be able to make and record observations, make conclusions, and learn something from the project as well.
Great. And you've taught over there, Ernest, and you're watching what Kim and Peter are doing. What do you think the best way for getting through? I mean, that's teachers worldwide and every school on the planet has that same, you know, goal, right? Is to get through to a student. The process that we're doing is hands-on learning, right? We're more concrete than abstract. What do you see that could work with what we're doing? Do you think the approach that we're taking is the right one for getting through these kids?
Yeah, the approach is good, but as we said, we're learning every day. We bring some modifications based on our situations every day. So far, what we've learned is it is better to work with a small group of interested students than having so many of them when they don't have interest.
Ah, yes, yes. Well, going into breakout groups is usually a good idea. It's hard for one or two people if the two of you are going into a classroom and you got 100 boys or girls screaming and talking and having a good time. It's hard to focus on what your task is out there, I guess. So I had some other questions for you, Ernest. What other projects would you like to see that are kind of innovative that we could be a part of? I think the solar oven is extremely innovative. No matter where you are on the planet, it's a really cool, useful tool, right? Learning a little bit of masonry, learning how to use drip irrigation. What practical things do you think these students, when they finish in school and they go back home and they have their own house at some point in life, what things do you think will stick? What programs or what innovations do you see that would change their world?
Thank you, Mike. I think Tim and Peter have been discussing about having a small setup, which we're calling Urban Farming Academy,
Ah,
where we
yes.
set up a small space and have all these things put up in one place. We have one tank that's giving us drip irrigation, also giving us sprinkler irrigation and furrow irrigation in a small space. We have a small place for livestock. And then in this small space, we can have lessons that we give to our learners, even in the community, to show them how they can actually produce food for their homes and money focus as well. But long-term plan, I think it's better that we think of having a place whereby we give up the knowledge to the people, regardless of their educational background, to make them at least food sustainable.
Right. I think that's kind of the goal. Do you see it? Do you see that we have the possibility of making an impact with urban farming education out there? The first couple of years, everybody was getting to know each other, and we didn't quite understand the culture. They didn't understand what we were looking to do. I think we spent a lot of time finding ourselves. I think we have a system in place now that empowers people. The major concern I have is developing leadership. Do you think the approach we have, and I think small groups are a good way to go, having the academy, we talked about having a couple of students at a time train with you at your house for maybe a 2 or 3 or 4 week period, just to develop capacity and skills. But that's the big question. For us to really have an impact and be sustainable, we need to develop leaders. Do you see that as potential? Do you see it starting to happen?
Yes, Mike, I see that as having potential because the first phase is to produce a trainer of trainers. So the one that we train now should be able to take the knowledge to other groups as well. And then we make up a follow-up on what they've done. We give them something like a prescribed guidelines that they follow, and we make follow-ups as well. So it's like they graduate, and then we check what they've done after graduation and how much impact they've given to their communities, not necessarily here in Lilongwe, because these two schools, Likun Girls Secondary School and the Likun Boys Secondary School, are national secondary schools. Therefore, after the holidays, the students go back home. And if they take this knowledge that they have here home, I think now it's like our concept is flooding into the whole nation. To me, I feel like after 5 years, we'll be able to measure up the impact that we have as a family.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea, is for us to be able to do this in other places as well, where, and the big thing is exactly that: get the community involved. It's kind of hard to teach the old dogs, the head teachers or the administrators and that kind of thing. Unless they are like you and I, Ernest, and later in life they have a passion for it. They understand how important it is, and they want to do it. Unless you have that going on, the older dogs are harder to communicate with. But I find that the students are very wide open toward learning all of this. Would you agree, Kim?
You know what? You froze up a little bit, but I think what you were asking is about people that have been set in their ways and having a hard time working with them. I found that to be true. Almost like this time around, you've been here twice, I've been here twice, and do know me as being a little bit difficult, that you've got to toe the line. You said you were going to do this. I don't see it done. It's like those that want to play ball, that want to work, are stepping up to the plate.
Right.
And those that don't are saying, you know what, this isn't for me, and I will let someone else lead this group. So I think, and especially Mike, I believe that they see us coming back, and it's like, wow, they really want a one-off type of NGO. They really do care.
Right.
I think that just really says a lot, and it I see it so differently this time, and it's in the second week now.
Yeah.
How those that are really excited, teachers, administration, and students, are coming, because I'm no longer the American that has all the treats and the candy and stuff like that. It's like, you know what, guys, you're doing it because you want to learn, and because in your heart, because you want to give it back to your community as well. And we have got the true urban farming team.
Yeah, and I think Earnest has been like the secret sauce, or the piece that we're kind of missing, and quite honestly, some of the teachers and some of the administrators, they're extremely busy. There is over 6,000 kids going to school there, and they've got their own jobs. And the teachers teach in the daytime with the schools that they're working with, and then they teach the community kids after that in the afternoon. It's a long day, so we're not trying to force things on them. We're just trying to kind of improve the lives and tweak a little of what they're doing. But having Earnest in place to help, and then for Earnest to develop leadership skills with other people, I think is the key, because we're not necessarily out there forever. We're having our influence now. I definitely want it so that the pace of things we're working on continues at a fast pace, without you being there, without me being there, but with Earnest there, and with some other key people that he's working with. So I think this trip around is each time it just gets better. Doesn't get easier, but it gets better. And hopefully we have some good results that are coming. I'm planning on going back out there again in May, June. And I definitely want to see all the programs that you're starting now, kind of see those results when I get there and see how this thing will evolve. But it's evolving from within. And that's the only way it's going to work, So, anything else you guys want to add, or can we say our goodbyes?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike, for allowing Peter and I to come back out this time for 40 days and 40 nights. And I kind of a biblical thing there. But anyways, we really appreciate this opportunity, and I have just grown to love and admire so many people here. And I'm glad that I can work with them and for them.
Well, thanks to
Yeah,
both. Okay, go on.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, and the team here, Kim and Peter, for allowing me to actually work with them. I'm also learning a lot, but at the same time, I would like to encourage you: don't stop thinking the way you're thinking. Don't get discouraged. Things when they're starting, normally you have some hiccups, but it's like a classroom. You're learning. Soon we'll pick up, and then we don't know how much impact we're giving to the communities. To be difficult for us to make our own assessment, but at the end of the day, it's them that can acknowledge that, oh, there was this team of urban farming that changed our lives. Thank you very much, Mike.
That'd be great. Well, thank you, Ernest. Thank you, Kim. We'll see you back here, Kim, I guess after Christmas. Ernest, I'll be seeing you again in about 6 months, so hopefully we're all ready for that. And thanks to the viewers today. We had a little bit of internet disconnection, I guess, but not too bad for, we do our regular Zoom calls back and forth with Malawi and have a lot of issues every time we do it. Today it came out pretty well. We're going to try to do one more while you're still there in the daylight. It's kind of hard to synchronize our schedules because we're so far off, and there's not as much daylight right now this time of the year, but we'll try to catch one in the field while you're there and continue with this series on this international model that we have at UFE. So I appreciate your time, and we'll see you both soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.